Welcome to the Aiki Dojo Podcast. I am David Ito, and today I have a special guest with me, Glenn Yoshida Sensei. Welcome.
Thank you very much, David.
So we wanted to talk about this question that someone sent me on the internet. I have a question for your podcast. There was a story related to me many years ago about O-sensei. He was teaching Aikido in the beginning and then found something. The comment was that Aikido would not work or work correctly. He would then make some changes and revise Aikido into the form it is today. I don't know if this story is true or not. The thought of this has always troubled me when I enter the dojo for the first time. Is it possible that there could be martial artists who left O-sensei's teaching early and are still practicing the older form of Aikido? So I guess what this person is asking is about the evolution of Aikido?
Yeah. Okay, that's what I
guess. I mean, a person who left Aikido, left O-sensei in, let's say, 1930, 1940, pre-war.
Yeah.
And could that style of Aikido still be around today? I don't know. Would that be Daito?
Daito, there was that, I got that video from Stanley Pranin, but this guy, he continued to do Budo Renshu kind of things, you know? Well, he's singing Inoue, was that his name? But he did an older form of Aikido, but it still wasn't Aikido. And I think the from what I can see, what the Shioda Sensei style, the Yoshinkan style, is it's Aikido, yes, very much like what we do, but and dilettantes classify it as rough Aikido, but that's not true. It's Aikido. And it's a more, what is the word? It has curriculum-oriented, Yoshinkan. Yep, they have a curriculum. They do things a certain way for Kihon. And I keep seeing it. I've not been to any Yoshinkan practice, but they do have their set forms, and they say this is the curriculum. Whereas Aikikai kind of sort of has a fundamental. I think what you would see it is in the promotion requirements. You know, you must do ikkyo, you must do nikkyo. And then again, I'm not privy to what the instructional staff finds as its curriculum, but exactly how do you do this? And the evolution would be, I watched some of the 60th anniversary embus, and my God, that's not the way I learned it. That's not at all. And looking at it, I said, that ain't going to work, brother. It's not going to work. It's not mechanically sound. It's, yeah.
But like if you look at like Moriyama Sensei, when he came to my dojo, I don't know, 12 or 13 years ago, his Aikido was different than modern Aikido. The way they trap the hand was much more different, was much more Daito Ryu-ish. Like today we kind of palm the hand when we trap it like for ski.
Yeah.
But for him, he did a tegatana and trapped it with a tegatana. But I would imagine that he did that to create the atemi next.
Yeah, well, from what I know, Moriyama Sensei, he's heavily influenced by Iwama type of Aikido, which is perhaps just post-war, if we can put it into that period.
I guess because isn't like people when they comment about Aikido, they say that Iwama is the real Aikido because Tokyo or Shinjuku was doing what the government wanted them to do.
That's an interesting comment.
And so they had to hide the martialness from the occupation forces by Aikidoing it, more of a flowing less violent Aikido, and then they could do whatever they want out in the sticks in the Iwama.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I don't know if that's
that's
true.
That's what happened with judo.
Yeah.
They had to turn it sport in order to survive. The judo is, well, I don't know. I don't know if I buy that because my dad did judo back in the 1930s in Hawaii.
No, but what the thing about your dad's judo would be that it would be pre-war judo that didn't have to change because it was already in the occupation country, America.
Yeah.
So if you think about like the evolution of Aikido from Daito-ryu, Aiki Jiu-Jitsu, and then Aikido, like the movement, I don't know if should it evolve? Did it? Because like today, regardless if the technique evolves or not, I don't know if the techniques are practiced in a vigorous manner. I mean, they train and they roll and all stuff, but the vigorousness of the attack is that, could you shomanuchi someone, could you yokomanuchi someone and knock them down? I don't think
they, even in Embu, they don't do it. I saw one Embu with the uke, he's doing shomen uchi, but his arm is out and he's skipping forward to close the ma'ai with the arm in this place. This does not happen.
It's like the modern kendo version of shomanuchi.
Well, not even a hit, but just to leave the hand there, and he skips forward like this. And I thought, what is he doing? I had to replay it several times. I thought, well, that's the way what I call 21st century Aikido works.
Yeah.
The shomen uchi, you just leave your hand here, which causes the nage to pull down the arm because the hand is there and it doesn't come down. There is no strike. People just come to here and that's it. And that's the way, so the technique will change because of the, quote, attack.
Yeah, the attack change. Well, but that's the thing, like if you think about Daito-ryu, I don't know, is Daito-ryu more grabs than they are strikes?
No, I can't say for sure.
When I think about like all the videos that I've watched, it seems, I mean, they do have the same shomanuchi problem that Aikido has, but it seems like a lot of their stuff is more grabbing than it is.
Yeah, with the first, I went to the second, can you believe this, the second Kobudo Taikai. I missed the first one, but I did go to the second one. That's a long time ago, 40-something years. And I had Daito-ryu on the program. And we Aikido people were greatly, interested in this. How can we put it? But it was grabs, and it was done very slowly. So you could see the moves. And I remember them saying that the moment of the grab is greatly valued by Daito-ryu. This is very important, and that they don't want to break that contact.
As is supposed to be in Aikido as well.
It's supposed to be.
But today they're doing like 6, 7, 8 grip changes, and then breakful at the end. But yeah, I think if you look at that, the I don't know if you would call it tachi-ai, but that moment before you grab is a very crucial moment that you have to capture.
Yeah, and I keep telling people the grab is not the attack. The grab is the precursor to this.
Right, because once one attack ends, another attack begins.
Yeah, this is to keep you from drawing your sword so I can get you in the chops, or what have you. But this is, if I grab your hand, it does nothing.
Right, it's an arrest.
Yeah, unless I get some kind of hold on you, but just this gripping business does nothing. It just occupies my hand.
Well, so then you briefly touched on a different, something interesting, is that it's supposed to arrest your hand so you can't draw your sword.
Yeah.
So then the people that don't study sword anymore don't understand that concept.
Yeah.
Because they just think that Aikido is just like this. But really, the person is going to draw their sword.
Yeah.
and then you have to stop them one way or the other from drawing their sword, or you have your sword and they're grabbing your hand to prevent you from drawing your sword.
Something like that. So that's the essence of it, isn't it? Or
it's supposed to be.
Supposed to be.
What do you see that in Shioda Sensei's movements?
Well, there's no, I never paid attention to that.
When I think about Shioda Sensei's movements, his is really about the irimi. His the I don't know, gold standard Shioda Sensei movement is just irimi movement that, and you know, because like later on when you get good, you're supposed to command timing and spacing. So his irimi movement is supposed to be this his command of timing and spacing in order to do that.
Oh, definitely on that, yeah.
But I don't know if you think about, because we don't really know a practitioner that exists today or a style that exists today that's pre-Yoshinkan. Because Yoshinkan is supposed to be this pre-war Aikido, correct? And then you have what happened after that. But like, I don't know if there's a style of Aiki Jiu-Jitsu or Aikido that exists today that's prior to Shioda Sensei. I don't know. It's definitely not out in the world. Maybe in Japan.
Yeah.
Maybe you go to some Kobudo or Koryu place where they studied with those sensei for 15 years or 20 years or something.
Yeah, and there's a little room of 8 mats, and they train on the hardwood, that kind of thing. Hardwood.
Where they're just, they bludgeon you.
Yeah.
Crank your wrists, crank your elbows. But I don't know of, off the top of my head, maybe someone who watches this video might know of someone, but I don't know. And if you look at Aikido today, some of it's pretty bad. There's no, they lost the martialness, they lost the sword, they don't protect their seichusen, their central line.
There's no shikaku, no atemi, no opportunity for atemi. Well, okay, there's lots of opportunity.
Should Aikido have evolved from that Aiki Jiu-Jitsu, Yoshinkan, Aikido level? Should it have evolved?
Yeah, well, it should have, but somehow it's greatly troubled me that the people from whom I learned, and I went to Hombu Dojo in 1973, and thinking back, realized founder had passed away in 1969. So these people that were my teachers really felt the pang of losing their teacher 4 years earlier. You know, they were there when O-sensei passed away. And I think they greatly tried in their own way. All their styles were different. But when I first went to Hombu, Fujita Masatake Sensei, who was only like, what was he? 36. Can you imagine?
Wow.
He was only 36. Masuda Sensei was about the same age. He told me anyway, he told me, he says, don't look at the style, look for the Aikido. And sure enough, everybody, all the teachers had the same, there was a certain sameness about them. There was a certain element that was present in spite of the style that they did. Okay, it take somebody like Yamaguchi Sensei, yeah, who's fluid and he does things with a different styles, and say Masuda Sensei. But there were elements like shikaku, yeah, kuzushi, atemi, which were always present in every instructor. They always had this, and it was greatly drilled into me that you had to, like Sankyo, you had to have the person in a very firm grip, yeah, firm, subdued position. And although everybody did it, all the instructors did it slightly differently, as being how much pain they would cause you, but it was all the same. You could not get away. As try as you would, you could not get away, and you couldn't see them because they were in your shikaku. And so that sameness there, I thought, would be transmitted because that is the Aikido I learned. But apparently it hasn't. When I watch the Embu, All Japan Embu, I see people standing right in front of their ukes and moving. And Shihonage has changed, and Kotegaeshi looks like nothing I knew.
Well, because they're all going for the breakfall.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful and dynamic. I hate those words, but yeah.
Where did Aikido part with? I like it, to me, it was like the late 90s, early 2000s when people fell in love with breakfall. Because for me, when I was a student in the 90s, breakfall was like a 10%er thing. Only 10% of the students could breakfall. But today it's like 90%. You watch videos of people in Europe trying to teach breakfall to kids that are yellow belts, which I totally disagree with.
Yeah.
But when you think about the evolution, like we have gone away from, strong joint locks and really fell in love with flowing throws, which is the evolution of it. But there's no shikaku, there's no kazushi, there's no, the uke gives it to you and then you do with it what you will, which I guess is fabulous for you. But if someone really attacks you, you'll never be able to do that.
Yeah. The Isayama Sensei said it very well. He says the uke moves on his own now.
Yeah.
Just goes along, does his choreographed move.
Yeah, today the uke is moving into their own deikuzushi themselves.
Yeah.
So and then you can just do something with it, and then everyone looks fabulous and claps. Yeah. But like, there's no Isayama Sensei picking the person up over their head.
No, nobody does that.
And then everyone seemed to be trying to copy this Yamaguchi Sensei style.
Yeah, well, Yamaguchi Sensei was very different from what they're mimicking. I have been his uke in class, and you don't stand a chance. Yeah, it was very firm. Knock it down. But what I see happening now is there's no focus like he had. And
there's also no people. You look at Yamaguchi Sensei's movement, and if you don't know anything about Aikido, you go fake.
Mm-hmm.
But I know from my own teacher, Furu Sensei, when you take his ukemi, he takes your balance. He takes your takes that balance away, and then you can't help but be thrown.
Yeah.
And if you look at Yamaguchi Sensei's movement, you think, oh yeah. Like something that I'm working in my own mind today is that everything is a trap. So the person attacks you, and you have to make them attack you, and then you have to trap them with their attack, and then you can do the technique.
Which is the essence of it, isn't it?
Yeah. But today it's not that way at all. You look at the movement, and the uke gives away their body, and then you do something with it, which is fine, but you never trap them with your movement and your, the way your hands move, your body moves. But I mean, when we look at Aikido, though, where the effectiveness of Aikido is kind of the thing that I think, when we talk about this evolution, what we're really talking about is effectiveness.
Mm-hmm.
So is pre-war Aikido more effective than, I don't know if millennial Aikido, like 21st century Aikido?
Yeah. Well, I think effectiveness, it's changed. And like you said, though, that's a very good point you touched on, Ito Sensei, is you were trapped. Yeah, this is Aiki, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was told maneki like the cat. You have to invite, and the person falls into your trap. And then you own him. He's Aiki. He becomes part of you.
Right.
Yeah. And it's not a blending. Blending happens with whiskey. Yeah. Blended happens with scotch, but it doesn't happen with Aikido. Aikido, the guy is you. You absorb them. This is Aiki.
Like what Tanabe Sensei says, you bring them into your movement.
Yeah. And I just watched a little clip of him in an embu. And I say, that look, and you absorbed. And it looks fake, but if you're taking that ukemi, I was scared half to death. I mean, just that look in his eye, his posture, he had you. And that he's the one who told me about that. You have to absorb this person.
When you studied at Hombu Dojo, was the training rougher than it is when you visit now?
Well, we had our little gaijin group, gang of us who trained a lot. And well, for us it was rougher. And there were senpai who would really do things to you. And they could throw, and you did, I was totally helpless. The Iriminage could not get them on Iriminage, but they'd trounce me. And there were these old senpai, again, they were from the old sensei days. Yeah, so it was different. And gradually they're not there anymore, so everything has millennialed out.
Do you think that's because foreigners came and watered down Aikido? Ooh, I don't want to say this kind of the controversial.
Well, yeah, sort of, but there were foreigners there, Europeans and Americans, who will train the same way. Yeah, if we threw them Irimi Nage, like I said, Shiho Nage, was, you didn't have to bury somebody in the mat, but you did have to follow certain technical, what shall I say, correctness. The guy wouldn't fall down for you. Yeah, if I did Shiho Nage, I had to have the kuzushi, I had to have the proper projection. And if it didn't work, the guy could say, well, what are you going to do? And how can I back up on this one? I don't think they watered it down, but I think what happened was, well, one of the things I can tell you is, on my way to practice some nights, I would get beat up all the time, so I was going there mechanically, and I just didn't want to get slammed to the mat. And I would go to the 8 o'clock class, and then approaching the dojo at about 7:30. No, wait, what was it, 7 o'clock class? 5:30, 6:30, at 7 o'clock, we finished at 8. I would hear the slapping on the mat, boom, 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 and then my heart would sink. I would say, oh no, they didn't cancel practice. And now, very little hitting on the mat. Yeah, this thing. And people have their things about, yeah, you wouldn't do that on the street. I said, no, you wouldn't, but if you're doing Aikido on the street, you're not going to be thrown. So don't worry about ukemi. But that was a thing that's a thing because of the neighborhood. The neighborhood has changed.
Oh, I know that they complain about sound and gathering out front. Mm-hmm. And so like when I've been at Hombu Dojo, they said after parties, they'd say, please do not gather outside and congregate. Please go, please leave.
And I thought, what is this? Hombu Dojo was here first, but it doesn't work like that, does it? It's not, you have to be a good neighbor.
Yeah, and those things evolved that. I mean, that slapping noise, that the pounding of people rolling also, that's one of my favorite things. Like if you're, I mean, I don't get it anymore because I'm the teacher and I'm there, so I'm already there teaching. But if you're late or you're coming in before the next class and you hear everybody rolling around, it's kind of nice.
Yeah, it's happening. It's going. Everybody's genki and doing that. That isn't the case now.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not that it isn't the case, but it's the evolution of the movement, the evolution of the art. Mm-hmm. You know, it's when painting became an art, right? Now that you make your money by selling these paintings. You got to paint things that people want.
Right.
You paint the thing you want. Nobody wants to buy it, and dog food is the only thing you can afford.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, like the roughness of Aikido. I mean, I'm a post-war Aikidoist, right? But like when I trained, it was super rough. You left your elbow out, somebody cranked it.
Yeah.
You stepped too deep with your attack, you rammed your foot into their foot.
Yeah.
Right? Like there was all these things that people would do to you to make you pay when you made a mistake with your movement that people just don't do today because it's not polite.
Yeah.
You know, like one time I was at a dojo on the East Coast, and I used to wear a white belt after my teacher died.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I went there, they didn't introduce me to the group, and so I just wore this white belt. And then all the black belts would run from me, and then they would just train with black belts. And then I had to train with the white belts doing line technique.
Mm-hmm.
And then every once in a while, a white belt would train with me. But there was one time where this girl, I was throwing kokidage, and then I was just going very slow because there was a wall there. Mm-hmm. And I kind of held the throw, and she said, "Are you going to throw me or not?" So the next throw, I just threw as hard as I could, next throw really hard. And then she said, it wasn't a statement. I was just, asking you a question. And I thought, I thought you were challenging me. And then at the end of the class, they said, and welcome to this person who's a teacher from Los Angeles. And then all the black belts were, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were a black belt, or I also would have trained with you. And you're kind of like, that's rude. But that's that thing, like this person who I was going gentle.
Yeah.
And she was like, aren't you going to throw me? Yeah. And then you throw them and their eyes get all wide, because that's the way Aikido used to be.
Yeah.
That every person was not your enemy, but every person was someone who wanted to train hard. Because when I was a student, you didn't bow into someone expecting them to be nice to you. You bowed into someone to work hard. Mm-hmm. And if that person was above your level and you didn't want to work hard, you didn't bow into them.
Yeah.
But today there's kind of like, hey, I want to feel what your technique feels like. And you go, but you're fourth cue. I can't even open it up on you. But then you have to be like, so this is how the technique works, and be all nice to them.
A lot of that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what you would call that. The talking waza. Hanasu waza. Yeah, hanashi waza.
Oh, we've got all these terms. Yeah. And it, unfortunately, they've evolved. This new vocabulary has evolved.
Yeah.
Yeah. A friend of mine said, yeah, that's the Houdini Aikido.
Well, but that's the thing, like, or in the old days, it was your responsibility to come, watch, and learn. Mm-hmm. But today, it's our responsibility as teachers to tell them every little detail so that they'll stay, like I was telling you the other day, it's entertainment. Entertaining training, so that they can entertain themselves, but really their minds can't. Your mind can't understand it. Only your body can.
Yeah.
In a weird way.
That's Budo, isn't it? Where you learn from the outside in. I think of it this way. It's not where you think about it and do and come to things. You are well, like a sword. You're beaten into position. Yeah, you get all these poundings. And that's my idea. And you got to pound with a certain intensity to flatten that steel out.
Right. I can't remember. There's a term for that, the rhythm.
Yeah.
But it's the master goes the tink tink tink, and you go bam tink bam tink. Yeah. The master's not going bam too. The master's just hitting it gently. Mm-hmm. But you got to touch on an interesting point of view though. Just now is that modern Budo is from the inside out. Mm. Old school Budo is from the outside in.
That's what I learned.
And that's today where you come to Aikido the very first day, you're learning spirituality, meditation. Yeah. Somebody reads Sensei's Doka that's been translated 5,000 different times and the root words are all wrong. And then everyone says their namaste, be with you at the end of the day, and then you go home. But really, Aikido in the old days wasn't learned like that. It was, when I was a student, it was learned as a martial art first. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's the difference, the evolutionary.
Well, the martial has gone out of it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely. I have an interesting class on one of my classes. It's a very senior class. Everybody's above 60. And so I've modified the training to be I can't throw them.
Right.
Can't throw them. But I figure, well, what's the value of Aikido? And I said, it's the martialness. That is the value. And if you can learn it physically, and I impose physical demands on them as they can absorb. Yeah, it's not going to be the same as if you and I train, or we take some 20-year-olds and train them. It's very different. But guy grabs me and he says, "Oh, why do we grab?" I said, "Well, you grab to keep the guy from drawing his sword." He goes, "Oh." I said, "Yeah, you're supposed to be wearing a sword. That's why. So if I grab you, what are you going to do?" He goes, "Oh," and he starts to move his hand. I said, No. You hit me here. You got that free hand. I'm thinking here. You whack me over here. Why not? Because I'm trying to hurt you. The first thing you got to do when you're grabbed is to strike. Oh, I see. And that's that attitude I'm trying to incorporate into them. Is not fiddle around with the hand. And that I got from Kishimoto Sensei's book. Yeah. When you're grasped, you must strike. You must put that hit in. I said, "Oh, okay. So they may not get to that physical point, but they will get that martial point." Yeah. And I think this, I've thought about why do people like Aikido? And actually they like it for not the reasons I'm thinking. Yeah, they like it because it's beautiful and dynamic.
Because you have your seniors class right now. How many people are coming to your seniors class? When I don't know if you're in session, but when you were in session, how many people were you getting?
I would have about 15 or 20 of them. Yeah, but it was a short course, four sessions, and there was more a martial awareness kind of class. It wasn't Aikido, but I would show them how to break a grip, how to do Tai Sabaki, so they would have Asabaki, different steps to get away, and mostly an evasion kind of attitude, yeah, which was a survey a situation, escape, resist, yeah, evade, and these things you keep in mind. And it actually was not to defend yourself, but to just escape from a situation, because they didn't have time to develop the martial skills. But breaking a grip, yeah, that was very important.
So do you think that prior to the war, older folks were learning Aikido?
It seems that
like above the age of 60, starting at the age of 60?
No, people didn't live that long.
Yeah. Or didn't have the time.
Yeah. They were, your body's, well,
also though too, there's that whole Ichido, one way. So if you're a carpenter, your way is to be a carpenter. Your way is not to learn Aikido.
Yeah, people didn't have that time.
They didn't. Well, those things weren't allowed, right? Like, there's a famous story about Jesse, the sumo wrestler, and then he was studying Aikido, and then the sumo association said you can't do both. You have to choose one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he had to go. He could no longer go to class. But that's the same thing with that Sarudara O thing. That he wasn't allowed to do Aikido, but he made his manager go and study, and then the manager would report back, "This is what I learned," and then he would incorporated that into baseball. But that maybe possibly prior to the war, people weren't able to study Aikido, and then post-war, people were too poor or dying too soon to be starting Aikido at 60.
60 is tough, yeah. I had,
or 50, even 50 is tough.
50 is tough, yeah.
I would say even 40 is tough.
Yeah.
No matter what era that you're coming from, because your body just doesn't move the same,
That's true.
But perhaps that is one evolution of Aikido, is that people can start their training later in life. How old were you when you started Aikido?
I was 13.
I was 19 when I started.
19 is good.
Yeah.
19 is a perfect age. Yeah.
Because you don't know any better.
You don't know any better. You're young enough, strong enough, and your mind is open. Your mind will accept things.
Yeah.
I read that that's what they want in boot camps. They want 19-year-olds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Young enough, strong enough, follow enough.
Yeah.
Enough.
Not smart enough to know that you're about to go to war.
Yeah, you're not supposed to do this sort of thing. Yeah, but you can do almost anything at 19, 20. Yeah, just.
So what, when you think about like the joint, if Aikido moved from joint locks to incorporating throws, to incorporating now being open to everyone.
Yeah.
Because when I was a student, and this is not necessarily the right way to think about things, but when I was a student, Furi Sensei said that Aikido was only for the elite.
Yeah, it was. It is
not.
Yeah.
If you don't have the money, not for you. You don't have the time, not for you. If you don't have the life situation, Aikido's not for you. But today we go, sure, once a week, once a month, that's all you can do. You should come to class.
Come to class, yes.
But Furi Sensei would be like, you should focus your energy on accomplishing the goal that you're trying to accomplish, and maybe Aikido is not for you. But today that seems so harsh. They just slam the door in the person's face. No. But I mean, that's another evolutionary point, that where to devote yourself to Aikido to get good. I don't know. Does it to get to a good solid point in your training? 10 years, if you train
regularly, like 3 times, 4 times,
at least 3 times a week.
Yeah, at least
10 years.
Yeah, 10 years. That sounds about right.
And then you can kind of, train it not as intensely, because you really got to focus on.
You're 10 years older than when you.
Yeah, you got to focus on like the real technical details.
Yeah.
That maybe that you didn't have to focus on when you were younger 10 years ago.
I think so. I think it's what is it? Tanden. It takes 3 years to do tan, the forging. 3 years. And then
how many years?
Well, 3 years, 1,000 days
to
forge,
to solidify your
foundation. Yeah. Well, no, tanren.
Tanren. Oh.
Yeah. So 1,000 days to build up the foundation, and then 10,000 days to polish this.
That's a old Miyamoto Musashi quote.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that is true. Today they say 10,000 hours. So however fast you can accumulate 10,000 hours.
Oh, well.
10,000 days is a lot different than 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
Right? So they think, but then what do we do today in the modern world where Aikido has evolved to, for lack of a better thing, and this is probably bad to say, please don't go off on me, is that Aikido is really more like wushu. It's a martial art. It's fancy. You don't really poke them in the face.
Yeah.
You let them take ukemi off of it. You already know that the person's going to be poking the spear, and your head goes in this thing, and you practice it 1,000 times so that you don't get poked in the eye. And however you fly in the air and how deep you can get in the stance is really just for wushu young people.
Yeah, martial-esque.
Yeah. Entertainment, right?
Entertainment, that's a good term.
But like is that a bad thing? No.
I think I'm hoping. Yeah, I think it's just a phase. It will pass. Knock on wood.
But if you look at, like, in our dojo, Furi Sensei said that the secret to Aikido is inside Ikkyo, Nikkyo, Sakyo, Yonkyo. The more you practice those katame waza, the better your Aikido will get. Because if you can master those, you can master anything, he said. But if you look around today, and when people come to our dojo, and we do Sankyo or Yonkyo, they don't know which hand goes where.
Oh, I've had black belts not able to do that.
And you go, wait, you're a black belt.
Aren't you supposed to? And
yeah.
And I mentioned this to this person's teacher, and he said, oh yeah, she can't do those. And what do you mean, oh yeah? That's part of your requirement for Sankyo, I think, somewhere along there.
But they don't, it hurts too much, it's too complicated. That person has a bad knee, can't squat down, so we don't really do the seated movements anymore. But where if the secret is those things, and people aren't mastering the secret, what are you going to do when they're? What is Aikido going to do? Because at some point, so to me, it's like it's like this curve, this bell curve, right? In the beginning, you can't move your body, so your best technique are joint locks.
Yeah.
And then you start to be able to do a lot of like fancy throws and do all this stuff. But then later on, when you get older, you can't move your feet as well. So again, you go back to joint locks because the joint lock is tried and true, and you don't have to necessarily move your feet. But then if you just go straight, if you never learn the joint locks, and then it's always these fancy throws, when you're 60, you can't even do the movements because you can't take the ukemi. Because even right now, I'm 52, and both of my shoulders are separated, have arthritis, and are all messed up, I find it hard to take the ukemi now. Like, I don't want to break fall for anyone but Doshu or someone famous or something like where it really matters.
Mm.
For some third kyu person, I'm not going to break fall.
Mm.
But what are you going to do when your style of Aikido is predicated upon break fall?
Yeah. Then you retire.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you can no longer do that.
Yeah, you can't do it. You're not viable anymore. But you made your money.
Yes, you have your jet. You've made your money. Yeah. Everyone knows you're famous, and they pay you $2,000 a weekend plus royalties
on your previous videos, your DVD sales.
Yeah.
Then I think I look at it as this is just a lot of these flashy guys. Yeah, they make these videos, and they have a good agent.
Yeah,
residual.
You got to have a good agent.
You got these residuals. Yeah, and set you up for life because that's what you want.
But they're falling. Aikido's losing its martialness. People laugh. They don't even laugh under their breath anymore at Aikido. Yeah. They laugh right to people's faces. Oh my God, Aikido is so fake. It's not a martial art. People are doing podcasts. I'm third degree black belt in Aikido, and I realize it's not a martial art. And you think, if you were in my dojo, I would break you in half. If you find out, if someone in my dojo made a video saying Aikido doesn't work, I'd murder them.
Yeah.
But like you don't have people like that in Aikido anymore.
Yeah.
Aikido is evolving, but you're hoping it comes back to the center where, your body moves in a certain way. We hope that, but, I don't know if there are practitioners of Aikido or Aiki Jiu-Jitsu, or I don't know if there are practitioners that studied under O Sensei that are currently doing something which is pre World War II.
They're all gone.
Yeah.
All the pre-World War II guys are gone. I think post-World War II, there are a couple out there still. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're still post.
And so you see, like Suganuma Sensei. Yeah. I mean, I watch his stuff and I go, that's the stuff I know. That's the way it's done. Yeah. And he emphasizes all the proper points that, well, not proper, of course it's proper, but the points that I consider important.
And I hear he's very strict. Like when you go to the dojo, they have a lot of their rules and
no, you got to do it a certain way, and that's part of Budo, isn't it? Yeah, part of the Japanese culture
is mastering the process.
Yeah,
and maybe that's another thing that today that you don't have to necessarily master the process anymore. Mm-hmm. That whole watching and learning and copying exactly what the teacher did, so that you could someday express yourself when you make your art.
Yeah,
people aren't doing that; they're going straight to
expression,
straight to Shihan level.
Yeah.
Hey, I've been doing Aikido less than 10 years. I'm a Shihan level person. You think, what do you know?
Well, when you find Yondans putting out videos
or teaching international seminars, they're knocking. Those people are out there and they've got 100 people. They got paid great, but they don't even have the skill level. Because to me, Yondan is not even a teacher level ability.
No.
Teacher begins at fifth.
Mm-hmm.
Begins, but doesn't. Like fourth is just you've been leading the class, doing aerobics, right? Like you're not really doing Aikido. Well, I mean, you're teaching Aikido, but you have to really start to think about how do I develop this person? How do I get this person?
Being able to conduct the class, but not teach the individual.
Right.
Yeah, because you're not at that. Like Shihan level. Yeah.
It's much harder to get a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu than it is in Aikido. But Aikido in the old days used to be very hard to get a black belt in Aikido. It was something when you were able to say, I'm a black belt in Aikido. Because it was hard to get.
It was the inflation of Dan, the Dan inflation.
We don't want to get into that.
We don't want to touch on that one.
Well, because on a certain level, maybe I am a recipient of the goodwill of Dan inflation, right? I'm only 52 and 6 Dan.
Yeah.
And maybe 6 Dan is really like a 60-year-old, 40 plus year of Aikido ring.
Well, back in the 70s, like I said, which is the only reference I have, the early 70s, 73, when I went to Hombu, the instructors were Dokudan. And they were 30s, 40s, yeah.
Yeah.
In their 30s and maybe early 40s was Watanabe Sensei, and he was considered an old guy.
But maybe it's more of an how many mat hours do you have? It's an accumulation of mat hours, and so for those folks, they trained 7 days a week, and they had 8 hours of mat training every day. At least 6 to 7 days a week, and they had the deshi for the teacher.
So in my mind, I consider myself prejudiced, because to me, Dokudan is mastery. And you seeing what I saw as a Dokudan doing Aikido, of course, I was just Shodan at the time. This is what it is. And anybody who wants to claim to be Dokudan better do it like that. But that isn't the case, is it? Because they were masters. Yeah, these guys, they had studied much more.
Yeah.
They're not, what is it? They were pros. Yeah.
Well,
in the sense that they put the time in. Yeah.
I don't know how many people are pros anymore. A lot of them are legends in their own showers. Right? Like I mean, you're talking to people about Aikido, and they have no idea about some of these, pacing the class. Like most people have no idea how to pace the class for the level of the participants. Or people don't have any idea how to build the curriculum to make someone good. Anyone can join, and you could be taught by anyone. But the teacher is supposed to be the person who creates the curriculum so that the people can get good.
Yeah.
So, like today, if we think about Aikido as it evolves, it's becoming watered down, because now how many Aikido teachers are there, the people who consider themselves Aikido teachers in this world? A lot. But how many of them are qualified to call themselves Aikido teachers?
Yes. How many of them actually are?
Like, I don't feel qualified to be a teacher. I have a degree in teaching. I was a personal trainer for like 20 years. I teach all the time. I've been teaching for 15 years. My rank is high. I studied with my teacher for 17 years, but I don't feel like, oh yeah. Like every once in a while, someone will come and tell me, oh, I know how to teach people. I know how to develop teachers and students and stuff. And I think, you do? Wow. Enlighten me. And then I go, who are your students? Oh, I don't have any. Who are your black belts? I haven't developed a black belt. And I think, what are you talking about, man? Like that, and that's the thing. Like today, it's like the hardest part about teaching Aikido is that there aren't very many real Aikido teachers out there.
Yeah. And I think part of it too is perhaps, I have no evidence of this, but it's just what I observe, that to many of these people, Aikido is a finite body of knowledge. And they don't see the depth.
Oh, so but what makes you think that is the depth? Their depth of knowledge.
What they do when they're teaching is just, move your hand here, move your hand there. Yeah, and do this and do that. And there's no reference to my kokyu, timing, irimi. They don't even look at that. All they do is step here, step there, do this, do that. But even something like timing, just the timing is so much kokyu, and you have to learn about the go-no-sen, sen-no-sen, and all of that. But you have to impart this thing, even if it's on a limited level, but the students should be aware of it. Doesn't seem to be going on.
I think my personal opinion is that people are trying to copy the masters. They look at Tissier and they go, I'm going to try to be like Tissier. And they don't understand the difference between demonstration Aikido and training Aikido. So you're teaching all the stuff that Tissier taught in the seminar or on the demonstration. And they think a lot of those things, those are his expression of his ability. He's this height, this weight, this age, this experience level, which enables him to do this, this, and this. You don't have those things, so you can't really do that. Like I visited a dojo in another country, and this person learned a lot of Aikido from videotapes. And one of his favorite videotapes to watch is Tissier. And so when he watches demonstration videos of Tissier, he tries to do those techniques. And you think, that is Aikido, but that is not how you learn it.
Embo Aikido, yeah.
So, I mean, looking at Aikido today, that most of those people don't study sword. So you think, if they don't understand the sword, then they can't understand Aikido. Because you have Iaido training, you have Bokken-jo training, but that if a person doesn't have that.
Yeah, if you don't have that, you don't understand a lot.
I mean, almost, it's just movement.
Yeah.
So you have to, you always have to have this idea in your mind to understand Aikido. I think you always have to have this idea lingering somewhere around in your brain that how does this pertain to the sword? How does this pertain to Jo, spear? You know, how does this pertain to that? And if it doesn't pertain to it, you think, I don't know if this is, I've moved away in my training. You know, in weapons work, you can only grip change once if you're lucky. You know, like grip changing is like considered like the highest level of enlightenment in sword work, right? But today, everyone, 6, 7, 10, 12 grip changes, throw the person down. If you don't understand the sword, or you don't have it somewhere lingering around in the back of your mind, can you learn Aikido?
Well, you can go to Aikido class and have a good time.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And you pay your dues, and your teacher's very happy. Come when you can.
Yeah, come when you
buy
can.
my videos. How would you like to buy a keychain too?
Yeah.
That's what we haven't got to. We haven't got the keychains.
Yeah.
And the lanyards. We don't have Aikido lanyards. Here we go.
In the old days, Furuya Sensei knew this karate teacher who, whenever he signed an autograph, or anytime he signed his signature, he had a stamp with his face on it.
Oh my!
And he told Furuya Sensei that's how they remember who it was. That's how you really helps you build your name. So whenever he signed a document or an autograph or something, he always stamped it with his face. I have a stamp. I should probably start using that.
Yeah, that's great marketing. It's great marketing.
But that's the old days. Sensei had patrons who paid it, who gave him money, or gave the office money, or gave second doshu money, so that he could be Sensei, and then didn't have to lower his level of dignity and pride to say, "Oh, did you pay your dues today?
Yeah.
Oh, come when you can. Oh, it's okay. He's 45 and a lawyer. It's okay. He doesn't have to come every day." But like they don't have that anymore.
No.
I mean, they that's the way it is now. But they don't have a patron anymore that sees your sacrifice, sees your what you do, and then pays your way so that you can be this person.
Yeah.
That akinai konjo, the businessman will only bow his head to pick up a penny on the ground, but not bow to anyone else.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you think, I don't know if we've really touched on we didn't really talk about the evolution. We just discussed evolution in Aikido, but like, I don't know where Aikido is going.
Yeah, well, it doesn't look too good right now. I had a screenshot of one of the Hombu Dojo Shihan doing a Sankyo, and more than disgust, there was sadness that Aikido in my lifetime has come to this, with the very things that my head was pounded into the mat for, are not there. And this is a Shihan.
We had a person who used to be a teacher at our school, who's no longer with us, doesn't do Aikido anymore. And he put a video out teaching someone how to do Sankyo, and the hands were upside down.
Oh.
And then I thought, this is bad, because he put it out, the video himself, and either he doesn't know, or somehow he forgot that the hands are upside down. And then I saw some ninjutsu poster of the master doing this, what appears to be Sankyo, and his hands are upside down. huh? And I go,
he watched the video.
yeah,
He watched the video.
the video.
That's the only thing you can surmise.
But that you think there's a bunch of different ways to do Sankyo, but the hands have to be a certain way. If the person is on my right, my right's on top.
Yeah,
My left can't be on top.
because you got a twist, so you can't twist.
But like that person put that video out, right? And these videos are going to be forever. And this person who's faking what they think, it looks like Sankyo, right? I'll put the picture up, but it looks like Sankyo, but the hands are upside down. And then I thought, maybe he's not doing Sankyo. And then I thought, well, if he's not with technique, but if he's not doing Sankyo, what's he doing? But then your hands are in the wrong position. The body only moves a certain way, right? Maybe the person he's doing that technique on is triple jointed. And that's the triple jointed method of Sankyo. But that's how all of a sudden Sankyo is not the same anymore. Like you might know, I don't know but where did Aikido become this thing where now when you do Sankyo or you grip the sword and you point your fingers down? I don't know where that, or today everyone's pinning up their hakamas when they teach or do Aikido. I think I'm pretty sure if Furuya Sensei was alive, he would say, if the hakama is too much for you, maybe Aikido is not for you.
Well, the trend in hakama now is a long one. But if you look back on, Kisaburo Sensei, Osawa Kisaburo Sensei, his hakama was short.
Was it short?
Yeah. And Shiodo Sensei too. Yeah. And Kishimaru Doshu is a little long, but he doesn't have to hike it up. When he wears that gray one for Embu, it's short enough for his feet to be seen.
Furuya Sensei was a dragon on the ground level. But he said he did that to hide his footwork. And then Furuya Sensei said that during that post-war period, the reason why people's hakamas were very short is because a lot of them did not have hakamas. So they borrowed them from their grandfathers and uncles who were smaller people.
Yeah.
And then the hakama became much shorter. But I think it's supposed to be right at the ankle bone.
Yeah. And in formal Japanese wear too, that's about where it is, right?
Yeah.
The feet are exposed because otherwise you'd be tripping on yourself.
Plus, the feet are considered impure.
Yeah.
Right? So you're not supposed to point your feet at the tokonoma when you stretch, which people do now. No one cares, right? But all those little things that, like I was thinking this morning before you came, that Aikido is modern Budo, right? So you're trying to live this Budo thing in the modern age. So the etiquette has to be there. The techniques have to be there for it to be Aikido.
Yeah.
Os, those type of things. You bow, you just, toss your head. That it has to have this formality for it to be Budo in the modern world.
Yeah.
But then in the same sense, the techniques have to be martial, because without that martialness, it loses its edge. So you can just go like that.
Yeah.
If you know someone's gonna get mad that you bowed that way, you bow.
Right. Yeah.
Correctly. But today, if people even bow, I'm going to interview this person next month who's a karate teacher, who's a student did Aikido for a long time, but he was a karate teacher, friends with Furuya Sensei. And he said the etiquette of the karate students is so bad today that he's writing a book on etiquette, karate etiquette. And all these things that people just take for granted. If you want to come late, just come late.
Yeah.
You want to stop and get a drink of water, go to the bathroom, go ahead. You want to not wear a uniform? If that's okay, you don't wear a uniform today. And we do a lot of those user-friendly things. Like, we don't make people buy a uniform right away. We say, you have to buy one within 30 days. But we don't we say, just come and just wear exercise clothes. Because at least they can start. But some places are like, oh, no, it's all right. You don't have to wear a uniform. Or now they're like Aikido street clothes classes.
Yoga pants.
You don't have to wear the uniform because they're trying to take away all the obstacles to get people to learn. But the obstacles that we take away, we run the risk of ruining Aikido.
Yeah.
Like atemi is, supposedly it is what 80%, 90% of Aikido.
Mm-hmm.
But today atemi is not at all.
Not at all.
You go to Home Dojo, no atemi.
Yeah.
The old days, for instance, just like smashing us in the ribs with his elbow as he's pulling through, and all these things with it just don't do today.
No.
So, but supposedly the reason why atemi has been removed is because it slows the movement down.
Well, that's what I've heard too.
Which is, maybe true, but even if it is, your mind still has to say, if I need it, or if the spacing's not there for the atemi, then the spacing's wrong, because you still have to be able to go boom right in the face or something.
Yeah,
like that.
you got to be there. You got to be in that proper eye. I think if you're doing nagare, the atemi is not gonna. Well, it'll be just kind of there, sort of. But when you're learning the movement, you got to be aware of where it is. Like katate to, then you strike the guy.
Yeah.
And then you learn to strike here, strike there. But you're not doing a lot of flow. You're doing a lot of steps.
Right.
Yeah. And I think, well, in that case, actually, the first atemi should be enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't get more than,
you don't need the second.
You're not getting like 6 of them in there.
Yeah. Like Nishio Sensei will hit you 3 or 4 times before he puts you down. I said, wow, that's a lot, But even this, do we teach this?
No, this was Furio Sensei's go-to atemi. This one knuckle up, like he hit like this. He would hit the rib cage.
Yeah.
He always hit the rib cage. But yeah, he always used this.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called, but it's just the armor piercing knife thing method.
Yeah.
But that's the way people used to hit in Aikido.
Yeah.
But now you don't really hit.
You don't need a fist.
And there's no reason to hit people because they're going to get upset and leave.
Yeah. And besides, Aikido is peace.
It is peace, and then Aikido focuses more on nagare, the flow of movement, which is fine, I guess. But then now they take that nagare flow into fancy. You were flowing, and might as well just get fancy. Where you go woo, and the person falls down.
And the waza, it's like what happened to Aikido? Kind of going off on a tangent here, but I said, what the hell happened to Shihonage?
There's some funkiness that I see some people, they lift the arm up and then they step through. Or I was at a seminar with a famous Aikido teacher, and he said, push your arm through and then go into like that. And I thought that'll never work when the person's resisting. If they comply, that'll work just fine.
Yeah.
Or in the old days, for instance, it said you have to be able to bump their hip. Mm-hmm. So if you get stuck, you bump their hip and then go through. Mm-hmm. So, but today they're stepping to the hand, which won't allow you to bump their hip, but it enables you to do the technique. But if the person's, martial artist, they're going to pull their hand down.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what happened to Shihonage. Now it's all set up for a breakfall.
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful.
All set up.
Your arm in this position when you're taking the breakfall.
Yeah.
And people do it very well, which is another point, if I may venture on this. They fall incorrectly. When they hit on what you call a breakfall like that, I learned the judo style, which is what I realized I wondered how my body knew to stick the bottom leg out or the top leg out. And then I realized it's just simple mechanics. If you're relaxed going over, it just which leg gets counterbalanced. So when I fell, like that kind of shihonage, this sort of take your arm out, this leg went down so the whole side hit. But if they did kokyunage, this leg would tuck under. Just the natural way things were happening. But I see this from these embu, people are taking these falls like this, with this leg tucked under, the bottom leg tucked under. And that is means you're going to take it on your hip bone.
Right.
And, okay, good, 10 years, keep that up.
Well, but that's the thing is that how many of these people are going to be training in 10 years?
Yeah.
It'll just be this thing that they don't have time or body for.
Yeah.
But you touch on another subject, which is open for debate, I guess, which is how people roll differently today.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're rolling across their shoulders.
Yeah.
Not over their shoulders.
No, they do a barrel roll.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's put out on YouTube by one of these
by these few famous Aikidoists.
Yeah. And their legs are like out, wishbone.
Yeah. Make it look all for the look.
Yeah.
Not the protection.
Yeah.
And when I watch them break fall, their hand hits, like almost simultaneously to their hip, which is going to ruin their shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be, it breaks your fall.
Yeah.
It hits, and then it creates the mechanics and then the space in your shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
So those people, it looks fantastic. But like me, when they get older, too much break fall.
Yeah.
Now I have, 2 separated shoulders and arthritis in there. All because in the beginning I felt like that until you figure it out how to fall.
Mm-hmm.
But they're teaching a whole generation of Aikidoists how to fall like that, how to roll across the back.
Yeah.
They're not rolling like this. They're rolling like this.
Yeah.
They're rolled across the shoulder, and you're supposed to roll forward over the shoulder.
Yeah.
And then the evolution of Aikido, it changes because I don't know if you think this, does it change how they take ukemi changes the way you throw them? Because you can be thrown a certain way because you're in a certain position.
I think it's a chicken egg thing. Yeah. I think that the ukemi has adjusted to the convoluted waza.
Mm.
Yeah. I felt the way I felt because I had no choice.
Right, because you're trying to protect your head.
Yeah. And that's the way the body went, and that's the way the throw was going.
Mm.
And the way I see people fall, the break fall, the legs cross, and I did that once, only once, and I was like the Nutcracker suite.
That is that's the thing they don't talk about in break fall is that you hit your man parts until you learn how to keep your legs separated. And then until that happens, but no one ever talks about that. But like what will happen to Aikido if a lot of these things change? Like there's no sit down ukemi where you sit down and take ukemi to protect your tailbone. Yeah. It's all step back, like you said. But by losing that, when someone really tries to drill you into the ground, you have to protect your head, you got to protect your tailbone, you got to protect your shoulder, you got to protect your back.
Mm-hmm. Well, the step back ukemi, I deliberately sacrifice both feet on the mat.
Yeah.
You have to tuck that leg in. And it's presupposition that this throw will happen.
Right, because you don't know what the throw is until you're halfway through.
Yeah.
And then you go, oh no.
Yeah.
And then your leg has to move, your body has to move. And you should have been moving you should have been moving with the movement so that you could put yourself in the proper position.
And that goes back to the fact that Nage doesn't own the technique anymore.
Right.
Yeah. If I own it, then you're going this way and you don't have a choice. Mm. But if it's like a cooperative venture, then it's anticipated that this throw will happen, so you know and you tuck your leg.
Yeah, like one of the things I tell people when I'm demonstrating is I can let me throw you.
Yeah.
Don't throw yourself. Let me throw you. I can throw you just fine. But they're afraid, and so they're dumping out. They're doing some things because they're afraid.
And isn't that what we're trying to do with Aikido? I always thought that the training of Aikido was just Mushin. My only job is to hit you in the head on Shomeuchi.
Right.
And that's all I'm going to do. And whatever happens, happens. And I have to trust in my training. I know I had that when I tried to second guess, tried to anticipate what would happen. And I struck and I stopped because I saw the sensei move. He says, no, you don't do that. Do it again. So I struck, just boom. And then the waza worked because I was just focused on that. And that was at Hombu Dojo on the mat. And another time I was really screwing up because I was scared. What Chiba Sensei. And I was hitting. And he got rightfully upset and threw me across the room, backed me into the corner. Then he says, okay. And I said, hi. And we came back to it. And then I just zeroed in and struck. And he told me there is a way, to hit, a time to hit, yeah? And you will have to sense that. It's like there'll be a ski, and then you come in. And so my sensation was, and this was so, but this was what I should have been doing, is I could feel the kokyu, yeah, pushing. And I was pushing with my kokyu, and then this happened. It, like the Red Sea, it opened up, and I was sucked in. And I thought, no, I don't want to do this really. But I went, and then I looked in front of me, and he was not there anymore. He had vanished. But intellectually, I knew where he was. He was here. Yeah, he couldn't evaporate. But it was that focus of doing just this one thing. And you think if you're dealing with sword, if I'm going to strike, this is life and death. Yeah, I will either win or I'm going to lose with this cut. And so you come in, and he's there. And then, of course, the next thing is, the waza takes effect. But that is what kokyu-wise, you have to push your kokyu. And this is what we try to get to as far as intensity goes, I think. And this doesn't have to be I was yondan at the time, but you don't have to be a yondan. You can be any grade, but you can still push your kokyu. And the other person can still invite you with their kokyu. The waza may not be that great, but that kokyu training can happen.
But do you think that people, if you strike with that mushin, that no mind, resolute strike, and then you said win or lose, so if you win, you strike them, and they didn't move. Today, we don't do that. Do you think that people think we don't do that because people think it's rude?
Probably.
You got to back it off. You got to back it off a couple notches because, Jimmy just started and he's only been on the mat for 3 months.
Yeah.
So you got to dial it back a little bit. But in the old days, it was kill or be killed.
Yeah.
And then it has to be kill or be killed because you have to learn Mushin.
Mm-hmm.
And then from Mushin, like if you read Taekwondo Soho's book, the non-abiding mind, and you go, what does non-abiding mind mean? That you're supposed to be, what does Mushin mean? Does Mushin mean I just zoned out? What does non-abiding mean? But it means that this single focus that can move.
Mm-hmm.
So now that you struck that person with single focus, they moved, but your body moved with them.
Mm-hmm. Well, if I'm thinking of these novices I have, novice student, they've been training less than 6 months. Slowly focus, and as you get better, you can speed it up. But I would like to tell them, not every move that you're going to move like this. When we're trying to learn irimi movement or what have you, irimi nage, particular thing, of course, we're going to do it very deliberately. But once you get the hang of it, once you know what to do, then you can start to use the kokyu. But up to that point, if you expect you to do kokyu when you don't even know what your feet are supposed to do.
Or how to spell kokyu.
Yeah.
So, but where do you, if Aikido has to evolve, and most people think the evolution of Aikido means adding BJJ to it. But the evolution is the thing that it's hurting Aikido. Because now you have to make it accessible for everyone.
Yeah.
You think, okay, guy in a wheelchair, it's cool. You got to be here.
Yeah.
Oh, one person who's, got some problems going on, that's fine. But it has to evolve in that sense. It has to be available to everyone, regardless of gender, handicap, disability, anything that any way those things have to make it accessible. But the evolution of that movement is what's hurting Aikido.
Yeah. Because, well, keiko, trace the old.
Yeah.
Yeah, and well, the old way was if you were, to be a real trainee, you had to have certain physical requirements. Well, you take military boot camp, you got to hit a certain mental, physical qualification before they'll accept you into boot training.
But you can't keep your dojo open by only recruiting 19-year-olds.
So you have to adjust, and I think, hypothetically, if you had someone who was older who wanted to learn something about Aikido, and they were not as physically competent as the young people, you'd let them in just to say.
No, that's not the problem. They have the will and the desire. They just don't have the bodies for it. And then the people who have the bodies for it, they're not interested. I would imagine maybe they're interested in something.
Yeah.
But that person, I have a class once a month. It's called intensive, and it's either going to be fast paced or it's going to be technical. And lately, not that many people are showing up, and especially not the younger folks. And you think, oh, it's too early. It's at 6:30 in the morning. Got to be there at 6.
Okay,
it's old school.
Okay,
you have to show up at 6. You have to clean up, and then you have to be on the mat by 6:30.
Okay,
but not that many people, not that many young people come. But everyone over the age of 40. Those people show up, no problem, because they're already smart enough, driven enough, whatever, to get out of bed at that time. They know to go to sleep early the night before. The 20-year-olds are like, I went out and partied last night, so that class is too early for me. So, I mean, the evolution of how do you draw people in? How do you get the next generation of Aikido to start training? And when you're teaching it differently because Aikido is now different.
What do you do?
Yeah, I mean,
what do you do? Well, if you're trying to attract the younger folks, I think that's the question that Aiki News has put out for several years, and it's a dilemma of everyone. How do you? And it's not that Aikido is the problem. I think it's just the millennials, the crop. Could that be it?
I don't know. It's like the simplest thing is it's just the generation. I don't think so, because people in droves are going to BJJ and CrossFit. They're just not in droves coming to Aikido, right? So I mean, if you go to any CrossFit place, it's packed. You go to any BJJ, it's packed. But the thing is that there's competition. There's things to win there. There's, a sense of achievement because you can choke someone after 3 months.
Yeah.
In Aikido, you're still learning how to move your feet after 3 months. Yeah. So I don't know. It has to evolve. But now when you look at, these famous people like Christian Tsuchiya or Shiro Kawaruchi, you go like, oh yeah, I mean, like, it's fancy, but it's not Aikido. It's Embo Aikido.
Yeah.
He moves well. Tsuchiya moves well.
Very well, yeah.
But you can't get that on day one. No. But you think, I'm just going to throw people like Steven Skull, Christian Tsuchiya, Shiro Kawaruchi. But you never hear people say, I want to throw people like Doshu. No. You always hear, my favorite Aikidoist? Christian Tsuchiya. My favorite Aikidoist? Shiro Kawaruchi. Like, I don't even consider those guys Aikidos. I always think the person I'm trying to follow is third Doshu, second Doshu, Sensei, because the secret is in there somewhere.
Right.
And there's people who go, third Doshu and Dojo Cho, their movement's not correct, their movement's like this, but like, there's something there though.
Yeah, there's something there.
Plus it's the loyalty perhaps that you have to have.
Well, the thing is, they do, I was watching that Embu from the 35 years ago. Gosh, I'm thinking, gee, Boritera Doshu really moved well. He still moves the same way.
Yeah,
still does the same thing. But, that's when he was, how old was he at that time? 35? My God, he's like, banging all over the place, huh?
Yeah, no, I copied his Swadiwaza to a T for years.
Yeah. But it's not, it's like, yeah, it's solid, but it's not flashy.
No.
Yeah, and that's, I think, what the Shirakawa has is the flash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Funky, crazy moves.
Yeah.
Doing the breakdancing kickworm, ikkyo, ukemi, which is wrong, by the way. You know, but people do all that stuff, and you think, well, you know, he's doing backflips, he's doing BJJ type techniques from Aikido. And people, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
When I look at his movement, I think, there's a hole, there's a hole, there's a hole, there's a hole.
It's very athletic, works very hard, but that so-called Aikido that he does, well.
But also, you can't fault him, because you're trying to save your school, you're trying to save your style, you're trying to bring people in, and you got to, on a certain level, give people what they're looking for.
You know, and in all fairness to Shirakawa, we don't know what he does in his class. Yeah,
I have seen some of his classes, and he does basic Aikido. But then afterwards, him and his buddies go at it, and they video it, and they put it on the internet.
Yeah.
But that's watching that's fool's gold. If you're not smart enough to realize that that's Embu Aikido, that's variation Aikido, and then you start teaching that in your own dojo, that's your own fault.
Yeah.
That means you weren't brought up properly. Right? And that most people don't know how to write cursive.
Yeah.
Right? Then you don't know the value of that.
I don't know the value of fundamentals, yeah. And the thing is that the fundamentals are not, well, take hombu, it's not being put out. I don't think the instructors themselves know the fundamentals.
I don't know, because I don't know how the Hombu Dojo is actually structured. You have all these classes taught by all these famous people, but you don't know what happens behind the scenes. Do they have classes that are specifically only for deshi level people, soto deshi, teachers in training, where they develop, where they're working on the waza? We don't know. We don't know if on the third floor they're doing weapons and all this stuff that they're telling other people not to. We don't know.
Yeah, all the things they tell you not to do, huh?
Right. We don't know. We know that Hombu Dojo is this, I don't know what it must be like to be Dojo Cho. Because I know standing in Furu Sensei's shadow is so stressful. It's so much work. And you have to think, we go and volunteer at this at Furu Sensei's temple. So half the people who don't like him think that we're just as bad as him. And the other half who really like him think that we'll never be as good as him. And so you have to really work hard to dispel those myths. So, and I can't imagine what it must be like to be Dojo Cho and have to be standing in the shadow of the shadow of the shadow of O-sensei.
Well, it's looking at what has to be done in the Aikido world, very difficult. And it's taking a toll on Moritero Doshu.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he looks so old right now. And you go, whoa, how did he get to be so old? You know, but like, I met someone the other day who said that he doesn't respect Dojo Cho. And I was like, why don't you respect him? You're at a seminar. And he said he doesn't respect him because Dojo Cho will be the first doshu who never touched O-sensei. And for one, I thought that's ridiculous. Because, I mean, they didn't live in the same era.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how's that even possible or not possible? I mean, but then, does that matter that you never touched O-sensei?
Well, see, everybody else from Dao will never have touched him.
Well, but that's just some BS excuse, right?
Yeah.
But you don't realize how much stress it must be to carry, when they say, here's the torch, and then you go, oh, this seems so light, and then it's heavy, and you got to carry it around. Yeah. He can't go get a beer. He can't go down the street and get a snack at 7-Eleven. You know, he's going to be mobbed by people, and then they're going to mob him, and then they're going to judge him. Did you see he was getting melon pan? What a whip, eating melon pan. You know, and then you're like, no, he just was hungry.
I just hope Dojo Cho is enjoying and having a good time right now.
I don't think so. He seems like he already looks like he's under siege all the time. Well, I don't know. We've talked a lot about, we discussed the evolution of Aikido. I don't know if it really went anywhere, but
Well, it's all over the place. Actually, like this. We where's it going? Huh? And I think like Didier Boyer said, all you can do is do what you do, and you know to be right, and you hope somebody will catch on.
That's good. That's a good place to stop.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching or listening, and don't forget to like or subscribe. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.